see if it'll actually go now. There we go. I think it went. It went. Okay, hooray. I know everybody's gonna have to trickle in over here, but I did this.
The other one dropped.
I did this before.
I can't find it now.
That's okay. No, the other one just, it's like I hit the go live button and it said going live for like
5 minutes.
3 minutes or something.
4.5 hours.
I'm just gonna like fix our camera so that it's not so. Sorry for all the jostling.
Cuddle Bunny wanted to cuddle.
There we go. We're here. We're here.
Cuddle Bunny.
Yay! Did it kick everybody out of that other room, or like what happened? We couldn't even find the stream. It was weird. Doggo! This is Bruno.
Bruno being cuddly.
Bruno, look up at the camera. What's over there? What's that? Oh, look at that. He's like, what is it? I don't know.
Put a treat on top of it.
That's
stare at it for hours.
Oh, now they're looking for squirrels because we said, what's that?
I said treat.
Yay. Okay, people are starting to trickle in. Hello, hello.
Hi, guys.
Yes, hello. I don't know what happened to the... I don't know what happened to the other stream, but quite honest, like I hit the go live.
Yeah, if that other stream is still trying to go and anybody happens to still have access to it, just let everybody know that we had to. It's not viewable to us at all to go in and tell anybody.
That's so much better now. We're way more centered, so we don't have to like squish together.
I don't have to touch your girl cooties.
Yeah, I don't have to touch your butch cooties.
Cooties.
I know.
You've been doing that like all week. It's kind
stuttering. I'm gonna just
not
be still us. Be still. Be still. That face is epic. This is really good stuff, by the way.
It actually smells nice. I just don't want you to know.
This is it. Did you just say it actually smells nice, but you don't want me to know?
Oh, thanks. Yeah, that's my yin yang.
I have a yin yang too.
That's my phoenix.
Show your key. Peggy has the key.
She has the heart.
I have the heart on the back of my neck.
Look at this one.
Oh, look. Oh, she's showing some thigh, guys.
Showing some thigh right there.
How did tattoos even come up?
There, that's all of them.
I was like, what's happening? What's happening? My wife is stripping on camera.
I'm not stripping. I'm just like, showing. You said show this one.
I did say show that one. That's true. I'm going to light our incense. I have some divining truth in here.
I'm like,
still.
this couch is...
Oh, thanks for putting the link in, Jen. I was just about to mention it. Yeah. It turns out it's so funny. I met Michelle with EO Chakra Products we have to look at that camera. I know it's hard to get used to.
You know what I do? You know what it is? I realized I was doing this just the other day. We have a nice large picture window just over here.
Oh.
And
so you're looking out the window.
We have a hummingbird. We have a couple of hummingbirds in the area. And we have little chickies in the area. So I'm like, do, and I'm just watching the birds flip by. So my eyes are going because I'm looking for birds, and so it looks like I'm like totally distracted and not paying attention to anybody. And I'm actually paying attention. It's just that these birds are distracting.
I'm also going to, this will make it easy. If I just put it's really hard for me. It's really hard because I'm used to filming on like a tablet or a phone where I look is where I can see myself. But on the lives we have a computer.
We could put a picture of ourselves up there because we're not vain.
Put a picture of ourselves. We should attach like a stuffed animal or like a look here sign.
I have a poop emoji.
I have that poop squishy. You could put that on the camera without knocking it down. Go grab it. We'll look at the poop. We're gonna look at the poop.
We're gonna look at the poop while we're
gonna train ourselves. We're gonna train ourselves to look at the camera by envisioning that you guys are all this like squishy poop. Let me show the poop before you put it on the camera. I've shown it before, but it's my favorite.
There's not
squishy.
even a face on it.
Yes,
there's no face on it.
Yes, there is. It's right there. Okay, I'm going to move. So
barely visible.
Can you guys, I'm going to move this so I can see if it shows up on
camera. Oh my God. We're horrible
Look
people.
at the you guys can see the face on that squishy poop, right? It's a squishy poop.
Oh my God.
And it smells like grape. Smell.
That's kind of.
Smell it. Smell the poop.
No, I don't want to smell the poop.
Hi,
there we go. It's on the camera now. We have something to look at.
You didn't even put the face towards us. I don't want to look at the seam. Fix it. I want to look at the face.
Oh my God.
I want to look at the poop face. Go fix it.
You talk to
Fix it. Looks like chocolate. It smells like grape. It smells like grape, and it looks like a poop. Like a cute poop.
There.
Peggy, are you fixing it so we can look at the face?
The face is like barely visible.
Also, hello, Peggy, to the camera. Okay, there we go. Now we can look at the poop and remember. Okay, I'm going to make the chat. We'll actually get productive and into chat just momentarily. Okay, I'm going to make sure we're on live chat. And I'm going to make it bigger so that our eyeballs can see. Oh my gosh. Oh, good. Somebody showed that. Thank you. That's great. Poop and then grapes. I love it. I'm so bad with emojis, to be honest, you guys. Like, really bad.
There.
Yeah. So there's that.
There's poop for you guys to look at.
Oh, you have more poop?
There, just poop for you guys to look at. We'll just put them right. I don't think
so. We can all look at the poops.
So we can all look.
It's not gonna stay. Clip it to your shirt. Nope. Then everybody's gonna be looking at your boobs. She's like, I don't care.
There, guys. Now we have a theme. You guys.
So we'll look at a poop, and you guys look at the poop.
I'm up here.
We are such idiots. I can't even.
Okay. So boundaries.
Oh yeah.
Apparently we don't have any.
Peggy missed half of it, so I'm actually gonna.
I didn't. I heard most of it. I just was in the other room.
She was in the other room. She had to go to the bathroom. I feel like announcing that to the entire chat room. You don't mind though, do you? I'm gonna pull out my notes though because there's a lot of stuff and I wanna get into all the things. What did you say?
I said poop is poop. I don't care. Everybody poops. There's a
You have Bruno hair all over you too.
Bruno is shedding. Oh my god! I have to like change my clothes just to show anything because he's shedding so bad.
And shout out you guys, Jen, my sister Jennifer, Jen's Balanced Tarot made her second ever video on YouTube. I just watched it this morning when I had my coffee before Simon's live, and it's really good. She shows us like her tarot like history, so it's pretty cool. She shows all her decks and stuff. She calls me a deck pusher. Yeah, you are. I am kind of a deck pusher. I think it's pretty great, to be honest. I love enabling people.
Okay.
Awesome. So boundaries. I'm going to corral you because, I'm going to corral you, I just said. Like she's cattle. I need to be careful what I say. I got this.
So apparently I'm just going to spend this video glaring at you. Okay.
I don't mind. I kind of like
you. What's that?
Oh, I was just going to talk about what does it look like when you like boundaries thing so we can like prompt people. So I was going to bring, I know I'm going to do the organized
You're going to do the organized
but only
thing.
For a little bit.
That's
only
weird.
For a little bit.
We don't do that.
I can do it. We can do both. We can do both. Don't take my plans from me.
You made plans.
Hello, Molly.
Hi, guys.
And Jen's a mod, so she can put the link to her channel in the chat. Put the link to your channel in the chat, Jen.
And don't forget to remind people to upvote.
Yeah, click the thumbs up button. Shill us.
You not my channel.
You're true.
I'm just a guest.
It's kind of your channel. You're like an integral part of this experience.
I'm the comic relief.
Yeah, that's part of it. Anyways, so one of the things I talked about as far as what it looks like when we lack boundaries is that it's difficult to make decisions. So especially when we're talking about personal wants and needs.
I don't think it's difficult to make decisions. It's difficult to say, this is my decision that I don't want to do what you want me to do, or...
Say that again?
Well, quite often we have no problem making the decision, but articulating it because, if I articulate my decision, somebody's going to get upset. I
think it's kind of both. I think if you're not able to articulate your decision, you're also not making a decision. Like if somebody's asking you, like, okay, and this came up in the previous topics too, but it does have to do with boundaries in a way. And I think it's less about decisions and more about being able to speak up for what you want or need. That's the issue.
Well, and if you're not willing to, if you don't speak up if you're not the kind of person that will speak up for what they want or need, you don't realize it's like, oh, I should have said this. I should have decided that. And
that used to happen to me all the time. So one of the things that poop makes it so much easier to look at the camera.
Jesus,
it really does. What I was going to say is that I actually used to struggle with this a lot because I would let my boundaries get such as they were. I don't think I had them clearly defined. But
I don't think you had any boundaries.
I didn't. But I would feel taken advantage of over and over again. And it would always be after. I would resent it afterwards. And I wouldn't resent the other person. I would mostly be mad at myself. Like I would let somebody just treat me like shit. And then afterwards I'd be like, why did I let that person do that to me? And this came up in actually a live chat a couple weeks ago. Somebody in the chat room was sharing an experience where somebody had treated them poorly and they wish they had spoken up. I think it was actually in the Speaking Up for Yourself live chat that got discussed. But so some of the things is if you have difficulty you might have a boundary, you might kind of know how you want people to treat you, but actually speaking up for it in the moment is really difficult.
Okay. I mentioned just very briefly chatting in the one that you just did. I mentioned very, very briefly hugging. And you mentioned it initially.
Yeah, because I was talking about how we teach kids to not necessarily speak up.
Boundary being a boundary, like, okay, with my mother, I knew that if she wanted something a certain way and I said no, that she was going to lose her mind every fucking time.
Yeah. I know nothing about that.
She would come to visit. Her and dad would come to visit to see the kids. And she'd be like, give grandma a hug. And the kids had just learned about good touch, bad touch, things like that. Because Sesame Street, of all places, used to talk about things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And so the one time the kids had just learned that, blah, 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 blah. We have and the kids would ask, they asked mommy, So mom and dad come up for a visit the one day, give grandma a hug, and they're like, we don't want to right now, grandma, we'll hug you in a little while.
And she lost her mind?
She lost her mind.
Yeah.
You can be, it's like, and she's like, no, you can hug me now. And I'm like, no, mom, actually, they just saw this thing on Sesame Street. They're just learning to set their bound. I can't, this was years ago. So Steven's the youngest, and he's 25 now. I can't remember exactly how the conversation went, but basically I said, like, they've just learned this on TV, so it's really on the top of their minds. So we're just letting them decide who and when.
Thank goodness for Sesame. I know it's habit, Al. I like to shuffle. I'm like a compulsive shuffler.
Yeah.
But thank God for shows like Sesame Street. And there was another one. I think it was called. It was like an after.
I was making a point.
Oh, I'm sorry. Carry on.
No, anyway, no.
I'm a squirrel.
Shows like that are really good because they expose kids and sometimes their parents to a lot of ideas that they never really thought about. But anyway, so it was. I thought it was going to be a pretty simple exchange. Like you know how huggy and cuddly the kids are. They'll be all over you in 5 minutes, but they are experimenting with boundaries.
Yeah.
So just give them a few minutes. Well, they can be made to hug me. I'm their grandmother. This doesn't apply to me. And it's like, well, it applies to everybody. You're just I'm sorry, mom. You're just going to have to deal with it. Because I'm not screwing up with my kids' perceptions of boundaries for her benefit, right?
Yeah, that's true.
She literally sat there the entire visit, and my dad was never the huggy type in the first place. He'd be like, no. And well, of course, and he's also blind. So it's like, no, I'll sit down and get settled. They can climb all over me when they're ready. That's like, he thought it was the greatest news ever.
Yeah.
Because he didn't want to be like I said, he's blind, legally blind. So he wants to be able to sit down, be comfortable. So because even little kids can knock you over if you don't see them coming, right? Anyway, so
it's just a terrifying image, just being able to see in a child is thundering at you.
Yeah, they come in, they sit down, I go make the coffee or the tea or whatever, and 2 seconds later they're climbing all over Grandpa. Because they said, okay, I'll hug you in a minute. Well, it's a minute. We're fine. They're climbing all over Grandpa. Then they say, hey, Grandma, I want to hug. They said, well, you didn't want to hug me. I'm not sure if I want to hug you.
So now she's withholding affection.
She played
basically,
she had like
this is such a rabbit hole right now.
She sat in the chair so that they couldn't get at her instead of on the couch where they would sit on the couch so the kids could get, Anyway, I'm sorry. But boundaries. Where this relates to boundaries, though, is, I already knew up front. If the minute my mom is faced with the minute I express a boundary to her, she can't cope.
Yeah.
Cope.
And this is what I was going to say.
And sometimes you just have to think about what the greater good is.
Well, yeah. And I guess I wanted to talk about if you guys have had experiences where you feel like, just in a general sense, we have a difficulty holding boundaries when we don't feel like we can speak up for sure.
Oh, hi, Simon. Hi, everybody else who came in. I'm really bad at saying hi to individuals.
Another thing that happens that I wanted to bring up in the live chat and kind of get your guys' input on, because I don't want it to just be always us like kind of just hammering at you with information, and also, just giving you an opportunity to share as well if you're comfortable. But one of the things that comes up is being overcommitted. So we suddenly find that we've said yes to everything.
That's John.
And then we're totally weighed down. Will you just
sorry.
talk from your meat place? Don't attack your child in the live chat.
I'm not attacking.
But what I was going to say,
he knows this. He's
do any of you guys? Let's talk about our people in chat. But do any of you guys notice that like you find yourself suddenly in this major hole? You don't really even realize it's happened until you're completely buried with obligations to everybody in your life.
Commitments.
Yeah.
Trying to get 10 days worth of stuff crammed into the 4 or 5 days that you have available. Yeah.
And I think a lot of times that comes up when because I think those of us that struggle with boundaries, we're compulsive yesers. You're not really a compulsive yeser.
Well, it's kind of funny because there's
no, Jen says it happens to me at work all the time, and I let it encroach in my personal life. Yeah, exactly.
Well, this is where it gets odd because we literally just in one of our lives that we just did a few weeks ago, we said, people, you need to say yes more to new experiences, new things, new this, new that. But now we're saying, well, you have to have boundaries and not say yes to everything, and it's a hard balancing act to know that this is what I should be saying yes to. This is what I should be saying no to. Yeah. And Avery says, yes, at work as a manager, I accidentally offered to do everything when my direct reports are struggling. Yeah. Not difficulty. With that. Yeah. At work for sure shows up in the having difficulty delegating. That's also control stuff, which also kind of filters in there as well. The difficulty letting go because we see what we do as our personal worth and value in the workplace. Molly, that used to be my MO when I worked. Becky, I'm an assistant at work. So what are boundaries? Yeah. But actually, Becky Beetle, that's an interesting point because when you're a support role,
I totally know what you mean. It's like, you can't really, it's a little more difficult to navigate, but it is actually a service to whoever you are supporting as an assistant or as a support worker to say, I can handle this much before the quality of my work starts to suffer. And
sometimes you don't, sometimes you're in a situation where
always, but you can always communicate. Even if you can't, I think there's always an option to communicate, even if there's no easy answer.
I mean, you might be faced with a boss that doesn't. You might be faced with a boss who doesn't care, and it's like, well, you know what? Like, this is what I can handle. Once like you said, once you get, once you add this, and this, the quality of my work's going to suffer. That they say, I don't care, just do it. Now you at least have the cards on the table of, okay, they don't care, so do I keep doing it or do I look for another job?
No, that's very true.
And I don't want to always.
That's kind of what I said earlier, actually, in the video, though, about. It is ultimately your responsibility to protect your boundaries, not anybody else's.
Well, but sometimes you have bills to pay, and
sure, yeah.
Now I can use my hometown as an example, because in my hometown there are very few jobs that have big paychecks.
Yeah.
Especially like it's factory town, so it's a lot of factory workers. Very few of the factories actually pay really well. So if you're in one of those factories, if you're in one of those environments and they stick you with some crap job, you do it, because if you quit, the next job is going to pay half.
Yeah, no, I totally
People
understand
get trapped
that part.
like that. So it's a really that.
But I think reframing your thinking, depending on your environment, you guys are all going to know your environment's best, and this isn't even just at work, but in the right circumstances, at the very minimum,
not now.
At the very minimum, just speaking up and saying I'm overloaded is information that is actually good for you to share.
That's good, Satya.
Even if nobody can do anything about it, right?
Yeah.
And Jen brought up a really interesting point too. Once you let a boundary slip, it's so hard to put it back where it belongs. Mm-hmm. That's work, that's personal, that's everything. And any of us here who are struggling to have to start to, or wanting to start to enforce boundaries in the first place, you're in that same place. If the boundary doesn't exist or is way down here, and now you have to claw your way back, it's terrifying, because the reality is not everybody's going to be okay with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But at least,
what's different now? You've always said yes before. Why are you saying no this time?
Yeah, because I realize the quality of my work has been suffering because I'm overcommitted.
Well, not personal life though. Personal life.
Personal life is
always said yes. Now you're suddenly saying no.
It's funny because in the working world, it's much more tangible because you can point to actual examples. Like, you remember that thing you asked me to do and I only got it half done and missed the deadline because I'm overcommitted. And you have examples, you can show them things, and then you can find out tangibly where they stand on the issue.
Yeah, but personal life
is like, I mean, I like my mother was, you can make your kids hug me. And it's like, no, I can't. And you can just be a grown up and deal with it. And
but what about your boundaries? Not just your kids' boundaries, but like your boundaries. Like,
well, my boundary was my boundary in that situation.
I was talking about, I'm sorry, go ahead.
My boundary in that situation was I was not going to let my mother treat my kids the way that she treated me.
That's very true, but I'd like to bring up some more.
No, that's a different situation. Because,
I want to bring up some more relatable, general day-to-day stuff. Like for example, let's say you've always been the one to do the cooking in your household. I know.
Okay, no. It's actually a legitimate. It's actually a legitimate example.
So, and then all of a sudden you realize, and this is actually something that's happening for us kind of sort of right now in a certain degree, not so much with the cooking. I don't want you to worry about where I'm going with this. I'm not going anywhere weird, I swear. But Peggy sometimes has
I know you're not. With my knee.
Peggy sometimes. No, stop predicting.
Go ahead. I'll shut up now.
You won't. Peggy sometimes has a day where she's really busy with the sewing, or she's got a project she's got on the go. And I am lucky enough that 90% of the time I don't have to do any chores, cooking, chores, anything. So sometimes, because that's now the manner to which I've become accustomed, it's a little tricky sometimes for her to navigate.
I don't think she knows how to turn on the washing machine. It's been that long since she's had to do laundry.
I don't like doing laundry at all, period, even when we were both working. But anyway, hold on. But But sometimes it's like almost weird for us both when she suddenly asks me to do something rando, like unload the dishwasher, right? And I'm like, wait, what? Like, I have my moment. She has her moment. Again? It is a bit of clawing back that boundary. You can't.
It's fine. It's not touching anything. It's fine.
What did you do?
Nothing.
Do you guys know what I mean? Like, so sometimes you've given up something, whether it's conscious or unconscious, and now you need to take that thing back, and you literally feel like you're taking something away. Like when you ask me to do the dishes, just the way that you express yourself makes it sound like you think you're taking something away from me by asking. Well, rather than just not giving me something. am I saying that right? Does anybody understand what I mean?
I don't. Yeah, like I mean, for me, it's a bit of a struggle to ask you to do things because we don't. I mean, we've already had the discussion. It's like, well, I'm not the one I'm not working, so why should you have to do all this shit? But then sometimes, especially like when I threw my hip out, I didn't do anything for like a month.
Yeah,
it's like I felt really bad about that. I'm sitting here 20 feet, not even 20. I'm sitting here right next, kitchen's right there, and I'm not emptying the dishwasher.
Here's a little more personal of an example in a weird way. Is sometimes you've been the one in a relationship doing most of the heavy lifting. You've been the one initiating contact. You've been the one.
Lisa quit a job. Which job was that?
I don't know. I was okay.
Oh, Satya said they had to hire 2 people to handle her job. That same thing happened to Lisa. She was taking on such a workload that when she left the job, they had to hire 2 people to replace her, and still wasn't.
And Molly mentioned having a job; they had to hire 3 people to replace her.
Yeah, and still, and this happens to a lot of people that have poor. Now, there's Lisa's catch-22 is that she types it over 100 words a minute. So she can actually take it on and still have lots and lots of time left over. But even when she tells them, like,
I'm a productivity queen too.
Yeah. So it's like, she says to them, like, she'll say to them, like, you guys understand how much of the workload I'm doing here. Like, and then they'll do whatever, but they had to hire, I forget which job it was.
I don't know. I was telling a different story.
Anyway, but yeah, like people without boundaries end up leaving the job and then finding out just how much they take on.
I'm going to, kicking and screaming if I have to, drag it back to a personal example.
Okay.
Because work is one thing, and I think it's easiest for us to talk about work, but I want to challenge us to think a little bit about that more personal, trickier stuff because it's harder to think about. Therefore, I want to nudge us all to think about it.
Okay.
So for me, sometimes you might find yourself in a relationship where you've been doing all the heavy lifting, where you're the one that's been giving and giving emotionally, giving the emotional support, giving the, being the one to kind of meet people halfway, being the, you might find yourself in that situation and suddenly realize that you're emotionally drained every time you spend time with that person, or just having that person in your life has become an energy suck or an energy drain on your life. And so that's where it gets really tricky to sort of claw yourself back and start to reclaim your personal energy and boundaries, because these are personal relationships. At least at work, you're like, you're just work. I can find a new job. But can you find a new kid or new parent or new spouse? Yes. Well, okay, spouse, yes. But it's much, much, much trickier. Yeah, every romantic relationship I've ever had, Molly says. Yeah, it's tough if you're naturally a giver. Because here's the thing, when we're naturally givers, when we say yes to everything, we attract the people, and I mentioned this in the video, but it's so true. We attract the people to us that are naturally takers. Givers and takers are attracted to one another. Therefore, if you are really bad at holding or establishing your boundaries in the first place, you're going to naturally have more people in your life right now who enjoy that about you. It's not a conscious, malicious thing in a lot of cases. Sometimes it is, but you might find yourself
because they're coming when it comes to on the personal level, they're bringing their own baggage to the table too.
Absolutely, everybody has.
So you're not only navigating like me dealing with my mom. I'm not only dealing with whatever baggage I may or may not have, but I'm dealing with her baggage, and her baggage is lazy narcissism.
And this is where it comes to the fact where we remind each other that like, other people's baggage isn't actually your responsibility. So if you find yourself in that situation in your personal life, trying to establish a boundary now means that you are very likely going to create some discord. If you've always been the one to pick up the phone first, and then you suddenly stop doing that as much, you probably will talk to those people less until either they figure things out and start putting in more of an effort, or the relationship just slowly distances until it's no longer. And, or there's a confrontation.
Like Avery, Avery is poly, so there she. I'm sorry, Avery. I'm not sure if it's I can't see the face, and I can't. Anyway, Avery is very upfront about how much time I have for these relationships. And look, once a week. Now, here's the thing. Now, if I were looking for a partner, I would not be interested in Avery because I want more than that. Avery would not be interested in me because, to Avery's standards, I want too much.
Right, exactly. Neither one of those is anybody's fault.
When you're up front, it's like, okay, so let's go be friends. But anything romantic isn't going to happen.
I think that's true, Avery, and I think that with my experience in the past,
honesty up front helps.
With my experience in the past with polyamory, the best, and with friends who were polyamorous, the best sort of situations came about when people were very clear about what they had to give, what they had to offer, and what they didn't have to offer from the very beginning. And I think we don't see that as much in the standard monogamous like world. I don't think we see as much of that upfront communication.
No, because we make a lot of assumptions that we don't, like the vast majority of people are monogamous. So we make assumptions that we don't have to have a conversation about that.
Well, and I think we learn that in polyamory because you kind of have to.
You kind of have to. Yeah.
So I think bringing that skill set to the table in monogamy is awesome.
Yeah, exactly.
Because I was a lot more clear, I think, with you than I had been with anybody else because of my experiences in the past.
Yeah.
But
this is what happens too, is like we always go, oh, I'm a bad choice of people, I'm a bad choice of this, I'm a bad choice of that. It's like, it's like I made some horrendous choices. I did. We all did. And I went,
everybody has.
And so I went, oh, wow, that was a bad choice. I'm not doing that again.
You're leaning to the left. I'm only telling you so you don't hurt your leg, not so I don't care about what it looks like. The other thing here I wanted to say, Heather mentioned, I've just flat out walked away from friendships rather than talk about my boundaries. Here's the interesting point.
I think we all have.
Wait. But that can be a completely valid way to hold your boundaries. You don't owe anybody an explanation. Okay, this is true it's not always the way that it maybe is best to handle, but I will say you technically owe nobody an explanation about your boundaries. You don't owe anybody that. You owe yourself that, but you don't owe anybody else an explanation unless that's something that you're comfortable doing. Some relationships, it makes sense to have a discussion and some it doesn't. Sometimes you'll just distance yourself. Sometimes you'll walk away. Sometimes it kind of depends on what you know about that person. Like you've had people in your life, right?
I've had people in my life that I've just kind of went,
you're not going to I'm not worried about putting in that effort.
But it depends on the boundary. Like don't forget, I was surrounded by a very, very large pile of cousins and stuff like that. I grew up in a small town where most of the people that I knew I'd known for years and years and years. When I walked away from somebody, I'd already known them long enough that it was like I knew what I was walking away from, and it's like I just don't really want that in my life anymore.
Yeah.
I can discuss my boundaries with this person, but I already know that those are boundaries they don't respect because of other examples from them.
Elle mentions, and this is actually really interesting. Ooh, girl, narcissists come at me like a moth to a flame.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Certain people attract that, and there's...
Yeah. Basically, if we were to all take, I've said this before, but I think if we were to all take the same, like all of us in chat right now, because this is a topic that we are interested in, guaranteed a good portion of us, if not all of us, are in the same 2 or 3 personality types, Myers-Briggs. Peggy's not. Peggy's somewhere else on that chart. That's why we drag her into these charts, because your perspective is so refreshing. But for those of us who are naturally like, I joke about it now, but I was a perpetual doormat for years. Oh my God, you were. And that's what we're really
you still can be. If I come across overly aggressive or overly interested in something, you will jump right into Fix It Road and try to make sure I get it.
Yeah, that's very true.
And I have to stop you and say, what do you... But see, this is the difference. This is the lesson that you've learned, is to not be with people that do that to you.
Yeah.
So when I'm doing that accidentally or otherwise, because I hate that. I hate that as a personality trait. I don't like that. So if I recognize that that's what's starting to happen, I'm the one that'll stop and go, what do you really want?
Yeah, you'll recognize when you're sort of barreling forward.
Yeah, it's like, okay.
And you notice when I'm just giving in. I notice,
and I can notice your stress. I can notice, you're stressing. What do you really want? It's like this sort of thing, but.
Yeah. I think the thing is that and you develop a lifetime of habit of it, to the point, narcissistic abuse, you develop a lifetime habit of expecting it, so that it's like, I'm just going to go along with it. I'm just going to go along with it. And feels normal. It feels normal.
Oh yeah, it's the devil you know. It's the devil you know. But then the person who doesn't want you to be a doormat comes in and goes, what's going on? And you're not sure how to, because you took years to know how to respond to this.
I had no idea.
Well, what do you mean? You said you wanted this. And it's like, no. I said, we should do this. What do you want?
This actually brings us right to that next point I brought up about what it looks like when we don't have boundaries, which is you notice that you're regularly taken advantage of, and you often don't realize it's happening until long after. In short, people with poor boundaries are easy targets for those who would take advantage. Honestly, at the end of the day, if you're used to giving up ground in conversations and personal relationships at work, etc., you naturally draw to you the people that take advantage. And those people don't necessarily consciously think, oh, that person's an easy target, but you are an easy target. If you are not good at speaking up for your needs, wants, desires, boundaries, if you're not good at speaking up when people overstep, if this is a skill you haven't built, then people who don't like to be called on their crap, those are the people that are on
my crap, though.
You do. You're so full of crap. You actually, you'll joke about it, but you're actually really good at it.
Well,
sometimes.
There's days I'm not.
There's days none of us are, but
that's true.
but you will attract the people who don't want to be seen that clearly. Yeah. So that's one thing. When I talked about why it's difficult, one of the things I talked about was being afraid of rejection. So hands up emojis if you have ever just let people treat you like crap because you're just afraid to be alone. You just are lonely. You don't want to deal.
It's funny though, because when I
put my hand on your boob, it wasn't intentional. Just see. No, don't be a pig on chat. Stop. Look at the camera. Look at the poop.
You said boob first.
Look at the poop. Yeah. Yeah, hands up, right? Like, hello. Put your freaking hand up. You've done it.
We've all. I can't think of anybody who hasn't done it.
Yeah.
Thing is, like, there's
typing hands up counts too.
There's interesting things for me. For me, I consider certain things to be lucky. When I left my ex, I didn't have to deal with him because he decided that if I was to leave, that would make him feel bad. So he didn't want to see me or the kids ever again. And true to his word, he didn't. Now you know why I left.
Jerk.
But the thing is, so I didn't have that going on in my life. My family were a bunch of dumbasses. So eventually that fell apart. So this is me and the kids and a close circle of friends. And that was fine. But what I realized is that I was much happier. And this is going to sound very, very strange. I was a little bit lonely because I couldn't just go visit this person, visit that person, whatever.
Yeah.
I had been living in one town, moved to a different town. So all the people that had been in my life were now online, phone calls, whatever, back when online and phone calls wasn't convenient.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is, I'm like, oh, this is lonely. I'm lonely. Yeah, of course I was a little lonely. But I realized that I also, this is going to sound strange, I was lonely, but I felt so much better about myself not having this toxic soup as part of my life.
Yeah, it's once you get to the other side of it.
I didn't go looking for it. It just kind of happened. It just kind of happened because I was living in one town, separated from my ex, and it's like, okay, I need to be back where my family is. So I moved back to my hometown where my parents were, and so
like readjusting my.
He's gone. His family, he's gone. His family, I found out later, and I was pretty sure, but he filled his family set up with crap, so they were in the picture. All the people that I knew in that town were no longer part of my life. So all this giant purge just happened all at once, and then my relationship with my family fell apart. But I didn't make these things happen. I didn't go, I'm gonna sit here. But yeah,
I did.
It was far more for me. It just happened. But here's the thing, doing it intentionally.
It was hard, you guys. I would say I lost about 85% of the people in my life as soon as I started realizing I had worth and standing up for myself. And sometimes I stood up for myself badly. I'm not going to say that I did it well. So sometimes I lost people for that reason. Sometimes I lost people just because people could not cope with the new me.
Oh my God,
they couldn't cope with the me that knew my worth. They didn't even know how to relate. And so what ended up happening is that I went through what felt like loss after loss after loss, so that by the time I was done,
you were initiating it, which, like I said, my situation just happened to me.
But now I'm talking about my situation.
But what I want to,
you're
right. We came at it from different angles, but you had far more trauma to get there than I.
That's what I'm talking about. So like for me, I had to consciously
alone and happy.
What?
Oh, Satya, I'd much rather be alone and happy, and that's kind of what happened to me for a while. And I realized I was happier.
Yeah,
I was lonely, but I was happier, way happier.
Yeah. In either case, once you're at the other side of it, it's worth it. But when you're going through it, it can feel
like hell on earth.
Whole point I'm trying to,
it didn't feel good. Sorry, go ahead.
The whole point I'm trying to make is that because I did it consciously, it felt really traumatic for a while. It felt like everybody was going to leave me, which just confirmed all of my abandonment issues and all of my fears of rejection. It really solidified a lot of my personal fears. Mm-hmm. So until I got to the other side of it and settled into the other side of it, that's where it started to feel good for me. But it took a long time to get there. Yeah. And I think the reason I want to talk about that part of it is because sometimes we have this idea that once we start establishing and holding boundaries, it's all going to come up roses and be awesome. And it will get there. It will get there. But I want people to feel prepared, because when we already have fears of abandonment and fears of rejection, go into it open eyes, I guess is kind of what I'm hoping to encourage people to do. Go into it so that you're prepared emotionally to go, okay, this is the one I'm going to confront, or this is the one I'm just going to like pull back a little bit at a time from. It doesn't have to be the way I did it, where it's like all at once, rip the Band-Aid off, start just standing up for yourself everywhere, because that can be a bit of a gong show.
Well, even my ex happened all at once. Everything else happened over a few years. But see, from my perspective, I wasn't the one saying, blah, here. I'm the one that's like, well, I fell out of touch with these people because they're in a different town. But
holding your boundaries is also kind of not getting back in touch, not letting that feelings of obligation because it's family make you feel pressured.
Well, yeah.
So you still actively hold your boundaries.
But mine was like, my situation was a bit of a no fault stepping away.
Mm-hmm.
And then my family stuff happened. And it's like, wow, that's with my family. That was clearly their fault. That was clearly their issue. I mean, a simple "I'm sorry" would have fixed 90% of the problem that we were having, and that didn't happen. So it's like, well, it's not my. So I was experiencing the whole thing without being the instigator.
Yeah.
And that changed my. I still learned the same things and had the benefit of all the same things, but I didn't have the guilt.
So.
And that made it a lot more. It was shitty. It was absolutely shitty while it was happening. But at the end of the day, knowing that I wasn't the instigator took away a lot of the guilt and negative self-image feelings that people have when they're you had to instigate in order to make changes in your life. I didn't.
Mm-hmm.
We both learned the same lessons, but you then had to deal with the guilt and the aftermath.
Yeah, that's very true. The other piece here is that, so again, just kind of checking in with you guys in chat. For how many of us who struggle with establishing and holding boundaries find that it's because we feel that we're unworthy of acceptance or love, so we assume we need to do things in order to sort of prove our love or prove our worthiness in order to get that love or acceptance back. So I'm curious. Yeah. Yeah, Tammy Pie. I think for me, I really, really, really dealt with that. I was sort of taught, and Molly was speaking to this too, actually. I grew up being taught or learned helplessness, where I just let people take over and do what they want as long as they take care of me.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Or like if you grew up with a narcissistic parent, or you grew up with a parent who didn't know how to give love in an unconditional kind of way. There's a way where you can love and accept people as they are, and there's a way where you constantly reward people with love for doing what you want them to do. And unfortunately, that can be a fine line in some households. Some people just trample right over that line. But if you're raised or you're in environments, whether with partners or with loved ones, where you're constantly feeling like you have to prove yourself in some way, then you're gonna associate the giving that you do in relationships with tangibly earning love. And that can make it really, really difficult to speak up about boundaries.
Yeah. Sorry, this is not. I was the scapegoat child.
Yeah.
So it didn't matter what I did; it wasn't good enough.
Yeah.
I could do the exact same thing. My sister and I could do the exact same thing identically, and hers would always be better.
You weren't given love regardless.
No.
So love was just like, no, you don't get any of that.
Yeah,
whereas I was taught that as long as I did the right things, I would get lots of love and affection.
You said being overweight and the scapegoat child. I felt that way. I was a scapegoat child, so that I was a scapegoat child, and I mentioned this in a previous video. I was a scapegoat child, and they'd say, "Oh, you need to lose a few pounds. You need to lose a few pounds." At a time in my life where I had the exact same measurements as Marilyn Monroe, so it's like no. Yeah, I mean, if you dig up a picture of yourself then. And take a really, really good look at it. It's like, oh, I was still growing. That's a normal stage to be in. Like, there's very few overweight children that are actually like. That's a whole separate thing. But
it's interesting to consider the idea of love as currency, though.
When you are the scapegoat child, there is nothing about your appearance that will be okay.
But we're even talking. Okay, so just to kind of drag it back a little tiny bit. The idea of love as currency is something I kind of want to talk about. Like, the idea that you can, that you literally, you spend this much of your personal energy or your attention or your loving actions, and you earn X amount back in love or affection. I'm curious if other people relate to this idea of transactional love as an experience that makes sense. Hi, welcome back, Dustin. Because for me, that was totally my norm. I didn't even realize that I saw love in that transactional way until like after you and I got together. well after, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just curious if other people relate to that idea of transactional, because I think if you see things as transactional, it's terrifying to establish boundaries, because you're like, wait,
if I don't do this, they won't love me.
Exactly.
They won't love me if I don't do this. And it's like, well, if the only reason why you're doing this is to buy my love, I won't. That's why I if somebody,
but that's you.
That's me. And that makes it really hard. It's like, if you're only doing this to coerce me into loving you, then I may love you because I do love you, but I'm not going to respect you.
Yeah, Satya, or I'm sorry, Heidi. My mom always said, if you love me, you'll do this or this. Exactly. And Satya, exactly.
Lisa and I joke around with stuff like that back and forth, but we never say it because, like, you know, like I'll be like, hey, honey, do you love me? She'll go, why? Well, I need somebody to empty the dishwasher.
Yeah, we do that all the time.
We do it, but we've never ever done it in a trend. I think that is normal. I think a lot of couples joke around with stuff like that.
Sherry, whose signs are you asking about? I'm sun sign Cancer, Gemini moon, Libra rising. I know all that now. Peggy is a Sagittarius sun. I don't remember what your moon and rising are.
Crabby ass.
I don't think you're a Cancer.
No.
Just wondering. But anyways, right now it's with church. Yeah, exactly. Tammy, I think people accept that punitive treatment of children that are bigger or heavier, like it's okay. Oh man, that's a whole
rabbit hole. It is. I mean,
Molly, that's
okay. My son Steve, he was a Christmas tree. He would go vroom and get wide, then he would go vroom and get tall, then he'd get wide, because he was building up energy reserves for his next growth spurt. He is now like 6'1".
Molly says, that's me. My parents bought me things instead of emotionally supported me, and my abusers literally bought and sold me. And my mom paid me $20 to go somewhere with her because she wanted to go alone. My parents were pretty transactional. My mom was pretty transactional too. Definitely lots of big gifts and lavish things on special occasions.
I think my mother, but my family was poor. My dad was blind. Like they were on a pension. I think that if the money were there, that's probably exactly what my mother would have done, because when she talked about her own mother, made references to that's how she was
kind of
raised.
behavior.
Yeah.
What about those of you who find yourself getting called out a lot, or noticing that you tend to be a little more passive aggressive when you're trying to get your needs met? Did I say needs?
Need. Yeah, you did. You've been doing that all week.
What is with my words? For those of you,
wait. Mercury in retrograde. Apparently, it's affecting your speech.
No, that is communication, I suppose. Yeah. Definitely communication.
What did you say? Oh, a dog fight.
What?
Remember the dog fight?
No. What are you talking about?
We were at the dog park last night, and there was a.
Oh yeah, I said dog on it.
We were at the dog park last night, and there was a group of about 20 larger dogs, and the dogs normally get along, so there's no problem there. But two of the dogs did decide to challenge each other, and it was just anyway. It was just a little doggy tussle. No dogs got hurt. The one guy said and so we're walking away because our dogs are little and would have gotten hurt anyway. So somebody mentions, oh yeah, well, if I was over there, I would have just thrown a jacket on it because a distraction breaks them up. Well, she's in the car. She goes, I don't know if you heard that, but he said, if I had been there, I would have just thrown a dog on it, because it's like, what?
Why though?
Why has this puppy? But she's totally
in the car, and they're both giving me such a hard time. I'm like, what are you guys talking about? Oh, you just throw a dog on? I'm like, no, I said a blanket or a jacket. No, you said dog. Oh.
Yeah, it's like she's been doing this all week. It was like, it's probably it was funnier when it happened because no dogs were actually hurt. But so she's like, oh yeah, he said just throw a dog on the pile.
Anyways.
But you repeated it like twice. Even it's like, no, I said put a dog.
You've done that too.
I have, but you've been doing it a lot this week.
Fine. Peggy lost her left and right when she turned 48
oh my God, 8
or so.
As soon as menopause started, it's like, okay, let's go left.
Every freaking time.
Every time. I have to point now. We're going to go this way.
Yeah. Heather, my parents withheld affection if you didn't behave the way they wanted you to, and I always end up with partners like that as well. And Molly says it's awful how we find partners who exactly resemble our parents. Yes, because previous point about how we attract the people who will take advantage of us if we're used to being taken advantage of. That feels normal. Danny. We attract people that need help or to be fixed.
Oh,
Hi,
Keith came in too. Hi, Keith.
Hi, Keith. So we attract the people that we're drawn to interact with people that. What is it you said all the time? It's you learn what works.
Oh, successful behavior.
Yeah, successful behavior. You mimic what you view as successful.
This behavior, what the behavior that these people used to influence your life succeeded. So you're going to mimic this behavior because because there's good attention, bad attention, good
There's
behavior.
Also the piece about you learn how
that ability.
You learn how to relate to people when you're young, which means that if you learn that this is how you relate by overcompensating. This is me speaking from my me place. Let's say you learn to interact with people. You keep leaning. So
I know I'm leaning. I'm old. I do that.
I know. But if you learn to interact with people in that...
I'm going to lean this way. I have to pee. Of course, because we're 20 minutes in.
You're going to lean and then pee. So
no, I have to
go to the actual washroom.
I'm going to the actual washroom. I'll be right back.
But what I'm getting at here is that if you learn growing up that the way you experience love is by constantly giving, if that's what felt normal to you, then you're going to be drawn to people who want you to give, or who appreciate that you give, which means the people that are going to be drawn to you like moths to a flame, as Elle pointed out earlier, are the people that are naturally takers. If you have found yourself in your life surrounded by people who if you're like, why do people keep taking advantage of me? Why do people keep like abusing me? Why do people keep doing the same kind of crap to me over and over again? It's not that there's something wrong with you. It's that those people are drawn to your inability to hold your boundaries. Sorry, just kind of hitting you with the truth bombs, but it's true because I've been there. If I look back, I was raised by a narcissistic parent, and most of my ex-partners had narcissistic behavior patterns. Most of my friends that I was drawn to had narcissistic behavior patterns. The spiritual leaders I was drawn to had narcissistic behavior patterns. Everybody in my life, to some degree or another, that I felt myself pulled towards had narcissistic behavior patterns. It sucks. Okay, it sucks because you're like, why is this happening to me? But as soon as you start holding your sacred ground, as soon as you start modeling self-care, as soon as you start saying no to people, those people, they go find an easier target. So I'm getting really worked up because I'm very passionate about this topic. But yeah, if the more you practice that, the more you will be a turnoff to the people that would normally take advantage of you or take you for granted. So it's really an empowering, amazing experience to start to see that happen, because you'll suddenly find on the other side of like practicing this. Yes, Tammy Pie, fake it till you make it. Yes. Even if you don't feel it inside that you're worthy of better treatment, if you pretend you are and act like you are, the people that would treat you poorly won't come around, or they won't stay around. They'll just naturally gravitate away to people that will let them trample their boundaries. I feel very passionately about that. I just went on a bit of a tirade, but
yeah, sorry guys. We have realized that Lisa likes to let me sleep in on Saturday mornings, and we realized she needs to stop doing that because I am so regulated that I get up, I go to the bathroom, I make a coffee, I go to the bathroom, half an hour later, I go to the bathroom.
Peggy's got a really tiny bladder.
First thing in the morning,
either that or we just don't caffeinate you. That could be kind of fun.
If you have no coffee, oh my God, if I am on these videos without my morning coffee, I'm like, y'all are assholes. I hate you all. I would be such a nasty. No, I'm not.
You wouldn't. Nasty. Oh, thank you, Al.
No, I wouldn't be nasty. I would never say that to guys.
They do hide in plain sight. That's very
narcissists
true.
are very convincing.
Molly said,
especially if you don't have the toolkit to recognize and deal with it, because usually the narcissists that screw you over the most are the ones that you're related to.
Can we talk for a second? Can we just talk for a second about how narcissists are attractive to people like us? I'm going to just generalize for a moment. I hope you guys will understand. But narcissists are attracted to people that struggle with boundaries or that struggle with self-worth, because we are the most likely people to give them the supply that they are addicted to, which is our attention, our affection, our not asking anything of them, not calling them on their shit. All of that stuff is
narcissists are quite often narcissists quite often have transactional relationships, and transactions can be measured.
Yeah.
Oh, he really loves me. He bought me this. Oh, he really loves me. He took me here. It's like, so when you have poor self-image and lack of boundaries and this and that and this and that, a friend of mine way back in the day, was super, super ecstatic because her shitbag of a boyfriend bought her a pair of shoes for Christmas because he noticed how desperately she needed shoes because her shoes had holes in them. It's like, what? And then they were living together. It's like,
that was me. I was grateful for every scrap of attention.
She should have, they were living together. They had a kid together. Wasn't that nice that he spent his money? Wasn't that nice of him to notice that I needed something and to spend his money to buy me the shoes I needed? It's like, dude, he bought you a necessity as a Christmas gift. and called himself the big freaking hero for
doing it. But I totally relate to that story.
She was grateful for it.
Yeah, I totally relate to that story.
It's like he should have done more to contribute to the household so that she could afford to buy herself a pair of shoes because because the same year that she got because you remember these things when it's one of your best friends, right? The same year that she got a pair of crappy shoes for Christmas was the same year he bought himself a $3,000 canoe.
But here's the thing:
when he was with
yes, and this is the point: is that if you're hardwired to see any scrap of attention or love or affection as such a precious gift, we are perfect. We are the lowest effort partners anybody could ever ask for because we're so grateful for every positive bit that's thrown our way until we start to realize. I caught that. I'm thinking of all the little idiotic crap that we argue over. But until we start to realize, Peggy and I joke about how through my relationship with her and through this process of doing my own shadow work and starting to stand up for myself, I basically have now a backbone installed. Whereas I was just like a slithering pile of goo in some ways before because I was such a doormat.
See, New Age, that's something that this friend that got the shoes for Christmas, this is something that she believed. It takes a special kind of woman. Some men have a lot of rage in them, and it takes a special kind of woman to deal with that. And her husband was an abusive piece of crap.
It just depends on what sort of messages you've received your whole life and how you've integrated that information.
That was her issue. It's like, dude, this is not, I would tell her that this was not okay. And she'd be like, no, he loves me. Because she literally felt that being able to tolerate abuse made her a better, more special person.
Yeah.
Because it was, she came from a messed up background.
Oh, gross, Molly. Yeah, she's like, when I first met my ex, it was my birthday and he offered to buy me some pricey lingerie. I declined then, but for years after, he'd remind me that he tried to buy it for me and I said no, so I don't get any.
Yep.
Bull crap.
Yep.
And
that's a great,
and
that's a great excuse. It's like, oh, I tried to do this for you, but you said no. And it's like, because now they can enjoy their narcissistic fix.
You still have a bruise here.
Yeah. I think there's
don't dig at it. It's a bruise. If you dig at it, it's gonna get worse. Stop. Just stop.
It's okay. Anyway,
I was just gonna say that Heidi also made a good point that if it's a way for you to self-abuse without doing it yourself, some of us were also sometimes socialized or raised to believe that we deserve the negative crap that comes our way. And sometimes
this happened. What did you do?
And sometimes, sometimes it becomes addictive as a catharsis when we're mistreated for what we perceive as bad things about ourselves. This is a whole other,
another big rabbit because I deserve it kind of thing. Yeah.
Well, and not only that, but it can actually be addictive in a form of catharsis. It's like, oh, this bad thing is happening because I brought it on, and therefore, which I know this is a whole
the saintly tolerance of assholes. That's exactly what this friend of mine, and she's still with this guy. She is still with. That is why she's not in my life. It's like I've had enough of this crap. No matter what happens, you just go running right back into this.
Well,
can't do it.
Let's keep it kind of, I mean, it cleans the slate. That's exactly what I was trying to say.
Self-flagellation.
Flagellation, not even self-flagellation. So, exactly. It can become this really horrible cycle where sometimes and here's the subtler version of that same thing that we may not even be consciously aware of. If our self-worth, our sense of self-worth is really low, then happiness and security feel terrifying. What feels comfortable, what we think we deserve, is being taken advantage of and abused and etc. And so what can happen is that anything that takes us away from that version of normal that we've integrated as our version of normal can actually pull us outside of our comfort zone and make us anxious. Sometimes when things are good, then we get...
Yeah, you get that. You even now, you still struggle with that sometimes. And that is waiting for the other shoe to drop. What's going to go wrong with that? It's like, because your particular background is no good deed went unpunished. No, you would go out and have a good time with your family doing something, and the bitching would start the minute it was time to go home.
Yeah, so it was almost like and Jen in the chat, my sister, will also understand. Will remember this too. But every good moment we ever experienced, whether it was Christmas morning opening presents, was literally sandwiched with so much crap.
Yeah.
Like that moment when we're maybe opening presents, when for a brief moment.
For what? For the 20 minutes it takes to open your gifts.
And
was
even
surrounded by weeks of crap before and after.
Yeah, so much stress leading into it and so much decompressing stress after it was over. It was this really toxic soup of confusion because.
Well, and then every time you experience happiness after that, it's like, what's this going to cost me?
Stop leaning. What did I say? I'm posing my Peggy doll. There we go.
Posing your Peggy doll.
It's like having a Ken doll that with opposable joints. But when you just put it where you want it.
But when that's your background,
I was just wondering if I could.
When that is your back, and here's the thing: the really sad part is that for a lot of us, we have that as an experience in our lives where. The good time comes sandwiched inside of something that's to one degree or another toxic for a lot of us, and and for a lot of people that stuff is really, really toxic. For other people, it's that saying, no good deed goes unpunished, and it's like
I can't. It wasn't working.
There's a lot of.
Peggy needs fidget.
I need a fidget. There's a lot of what do I, it's like, okay, sure, this feels good right now, but what's the downside? When is this going to blow up my face? Because we look for that. We expect it because we've all got that to some degree or another in our background. And depending on how that has affected us or how common.
Yeah. Jen was just saying, this is so true. And this was horrible. Anytime something that would be good would be going on, our mom would hold it over her head so bad. And she did it to me too. What my coping mechanism for watching my older sister go through this with mom, where, oh, I've got a boyfriend. Okay, I'll hold it over your head. Oh, I've got a job. I'll hold that over your head. If you step out of line, I'll take it away. It was constant. And so my way of dealing with that was basically I didn't ask for anything ever. I just didn't do anything.
It's like, well, that's not worth it. Yeah.
I just stepped off. I was like, well, I don't want to go through that. So I guess I just won't do anything. So I didn't do anything for a decade. But that's not, this is supposed to be about boundaries. Yes, we're still talking. We're talking about how waiting for the other shoe to drop.
Now, yeah, I'm running out of shoes to drop. Here's the thing.
Did you just say you're running out of shoes?
That's what Christy just said.
Oh,
like my big thing is
like, what did you say?
My big thing is like, so what if the shoe drops? I'm having a good time now, and if the shoe drops, I'm an adult and I'll fucking deal with it.
You use the F-bomb on the channel.
I use the F-bomb at least once on your channel, and I usually say fart at least once. Fart. So there.
I'm sure your fans are happy now.
Are my fans happy? I can say fart again if it's necessary. Just let me know.
Let's talk about those of us who don't even really know how to establish boundaries because we don't know ourselves well enough to even know where the.
Sorry.
Behave.
Just behave. I'm sorry.
Those of us that don't really even know where to put the boundaries because we don't know ourselves well. Thank you for showing Hell's comment. Yeah, I can't even quite get it out. I'm throwing rocks now. Stop it with the farting. Stop.
I'm sorry.
But if you don't know yourself well enough to even know where the boundaries are supposed to go, how the heck do you figure out what they're even supposed to be?
Well, yeah, because we don't have those conversations
with ourselves.
With anybody.
With ourselves, which is kind of what I'm talking about. I'm talking about getting to know yourself here. I know, but
getting to know yourself. When you've only got one set of skills and experiences to rely on, when you've only got one thing to rely on and no outside, like if this is the only thing you've ever known and you've got no reason to look outside of yourself to find out whether it can be different, you just don't. I just want to reposition my Peggy doll again. You have a bad habit of, no wonder your leg's bugging you. No, because I can't let it hang. It'll pull my knee. Anyway. Let's talk about how do you get to know yourself? Talking about these things and exploring these things.
Self-worth Saturday is how.
Yeah, but the thing is,
it actually does help.
Very little of this actually exists. Very little of this actually exists, and
so how do you get to?
We need to stop letting it. It needs to stop.
How do we get to know?
Now there was a burp.
How do we get to know ourselves is the question. Yeah. And one of the ways you do that is if you don't already, start a journaling practice. Write about the things that bother you, that upset you. Write about your day, even if you don't go deep at all, because eventually you will if you have a journaling practice.
That's honestly, a lot of people do that as a coping strategy.
I am whoever I'm with. This is we talked a little bit about that whole sort of being what everybody else is with in a previous video too. I totally understand, Danny. Have a good rest of your day. Bye.
Cleaning. Have fun, Danny. Enjoy your cleaning.
We're gonna have all the shoe addicts are coming out in force now.
Yeah. But no, like I mean,
comfortable shoes.
I mean,
I keep losing my notes.
We're so afraid that the other shoe is going to drop that we don't stop to realize that if you set down a boundaries, when it comes to boundaries, if you set down a boundary and say, no, I'm not doing that because I'm just not into it. It's like, what shoe? The only shoe is for the drop is for that person who is insisting that you violate your own boundaries. Goes, well, then I don't want to do that with you anymore. Okay, like I don't know. Sometimes there's some.
This is what I meant about when you start to practice boundary setting and holding.
People that can't handle it walk away.
This is why what I say. Hold on.
Sorry.
The second half of that is basically when you get ready to start to practice this. Have that conversation with yourself about, am I willing to let people go who can't respect my boundaries? Because if you're not, how you go about learning to set your boundaries and establish them and hold them is going to look very different. If you're not able to let somebody go or let people in your life go, or if you're not ready to have that conversation with yourself about, am I willing to let this go sideways? You might not be ready to hold your boundaries yet, but you can still start to define them for yourself. Well, and start to notice when they're getting trampled.
Yeah. Like, yeah.
Even if you don't do anything about
it. Even if you, because you have to, it doesn't start with dramatic action. It starts with awareness.
Yeah, exactly.
And if you take a look, you're like, okay, you've got that guy, that girl, that somebody in life, and they're always like pushing your boundaries a bit. So, okay, well, they push this boundary, they push this boundary, they push this, and just start being aware. Let yourself be aware. And then you're going to look at that person and you're going to go, do I even want this person in my life? Is there a reason? Like,
this is what makes this topic so freaking hard. And actually, Heidi just commented on this, and so did Becky. Becky says, I walk on eggshells because I don't want to be yelled at. And Heidi says, I feel so deeply that people walking away or upsetting my parents literally paralyzes me. I totally relate to that. And the thing is, this is why having this conversation is so terrifying, because we know at a deep level that once we start to really identify with our boundaries, once we start to really define that, we're going to have difficult conversations with ourselves about who we're going to allow in our life. Yep. And that gets really freaking tricky, especially when we're talking about family.
Yep. Especially the two things that we automatically think about are our work environments, and sometimes we are not in a position to do very much about it, but being aware of it, strangely, being aware of it can be a little bit empowering, because at least then you're going, okay, well, I have no choice but to do this because I need the paycheck. But at least now I'm doing it from a place of awareness rather than a place of fear, anxiety, or unrest.
Yeah, Al says starts with a whisper inside. Yeah, it's like,
but like with my
such a process.
Well, like with my family, once I had the kids, there was a lot of stuff that I was tolerating from my family. There was a lot of stuff that I was tolerating from them. And once I had the kids, it was like, okay, well, I don't really have a lot of boundaries with my family in terms of what I'll tolerate from them because they're my family. I don't want to lose my family. But now that I've got kids, who do I want in my life? Who matters to me more? So it's like, okay, so here are the new boundaries with my family. And if they can't handle it, there's the door.
I will say that there's a very different thing that happens especially for those of us who are more givers than takers. It's really difficult to stand up for ourselves, but it gets a little bit easier if you have a child in your life that you're standing up for, or somebody who you perceive as more vulnerable that you're standing up for. Suddenly boundaries get a little easier to hold. When I came into the boys' life,
that level, when you start bringing self-awareness into the picture, then you also bring in the people by accommodating this person, what's it doing to damage that person? And then it becomes a lot more easy.
Because basically as soon as the boys came into my life, I suddenly got a lot less tolerant of the things that maybe I would have put up with for myself, but I didn't want to put them through or have them experience. And that was just as just as a stepmom, as a new stepmom. I was just like, okay, it's one thing for me to put up with this crap. It's another thing to expect them to put up with that crap. Yeah. And it does get easier. But for those of us that don't have kids or who haven't had the experience of needing to hold the boundary for somebody else, it's trickier because we automatically, those of us struggling with this, deprioritize our own needs as our default setting. We don't think about what we need and what we want as being as valuable or important as what other people need and what other people want. That's what makes this so freaking tricky.
I suggested that to somebody, and I forget the context because this was obviously a while ago, and I suggested to them, I said, well, imagine that you have kids.
Yeah,
imagine that you have kids, Imagine that
unless that's really sucky and triggery, then don't imagine you have kids. Okay, but imagine you have a pet or a good friend or something.
Imagine you have someone or something in your life
that's dependent on
that's depending on you. And so if these toxic situations continue to exist in your life, what is that going to do to damage that person? And it's amazing how our perspectives grow, mature, and change almost immediately.
Yes, this is why.
And I know kids is a bad example for some people.
But I actually do this in every single video. You'll notice one of the, either in the challenge or in the journal prompt, I almost always prompt you guys to consider the topic from the perspective of what would you say to a friend who is going through this, or what would you say, how would you encourage somebody else struggling with this? Because it's easier to get outside of ourselves a little bit and think about it in the terms of what would we tell somebody else than it is about ourselves if we already deprioritize ourselves. And if that's the way you need to come at this, come at it. Come at it pretending you've got make up an imaginary friend who has all of these same struggles you do.
Yeah, like
what think about them.
If your best friend was dealing with this, if people were treating your best friend this way, what would you tell them? And then and obviously, like I said, this is not some call to dramatic immediate action. But just take the time to think about it from different perspectives. And, so-and-so, they don't act like this with so-and-so, but they only act like this with me. What can I change? Because obviously most of the time the change needs to come with it. You don't necessarily need to change who you are. You just need to change what you're willing to tolerate.
Yeah. And I think sometimes also giving ourselves breathing room. If you're struggling with boundaries and if you're struggling with trying to know yourself, one of the best things you can do is spend time with yourself. In other words, don't keep yourself so busy with your life that you have no time to even take in or process the things that happen to you. Sometimes a coping mechanism when we're avoiding dealing with our crap is that we overcommit so that we don't, so that we're so busy and we have so much going on that we don't even have the space to look at our stuff. And partly we do that because it's when you first start looking at your own stuff, it's really uncomfortable. And actually not even when you first start, just like generally, it can be really uncomfortable. And so, you okay, babe?
Yeah, I just decided
did you inhale your spit? That happens pretty much sometimes.
Saliva is for inhaling, right?
No.
I do want to respond to Simon though.
Even though I can honestly say I know myself.
It's so okay. But here's the thing.
Read it out loud.
Even though I can honestly say I know myself, it's so hurtful when people believe things about me that aren't true.
Guess it's because I'm a Libra. And Jen says maybe that's what gets me, Simon. Maybe it isn't that I don't know me. It's that other folks don't seem to get me.
Okay, but here's the thing. Knowing yourself and other people knowing you are two completely separate thoughts.
It's very true.
Two completely separate things. If somebody who has had an opportunity to get to know me believes things about me that aren't true, that's their problem.
100% agree. Can I get an amen up in here?
No, I can feel sad. I can feel sad.
It's gonna hurt. Yeah, of course it's gonna hurt.
But it's not like okay. I don't say I'm sad and hurt that you think this way. I'm sad or I'm not sad or hurt because of something I've done to make you think these things, untrue things about me. I'm sad and hurt that you're the kind of person who would think untrue things about me.
Correct. Correct.
I'm trying to say this while I'm joking.
You breathe for a second. I'm just gonna say, please don't die. I've grown fond of you, Peggy. I won't let her die, and I especially would not let her die on camera because that would traumatize all of us way too much. I've already had the discussion with Peggy that she is required to be immortal. And
yeah, it's a requirement.
And all of you guys have it now on record that she has promised me that she will never die. Right? Did you promise me that?
Yeah, I'm immortal.
Yeah.
I'd rather not.
So that I can live in the land of this is never changing. Anyways, but speaking about like people not believing who you are or not seeing you as who you are, there's two layers to that. One layer is that sometimes we're bad. This is my me place, so just know I'm not talking about anybody else. I can be bad for not letting people see the parts of me.
Yeah, but Christy just kind of said.
Oh, did she?
Yeah. Christy said a good thing.
Yeah. Somebody said, it was a coworker actually mentioned to me recently, and I loved this analogy. We each kind of over time start to get to know sort of what our personal user guide is. Like the things that make us feel good, the things that don't make us feel good, all of that kind of stuff. And nobody else knows what that user guide is unless we show it to them. And this is where that saying about how you teach people how to treat you makes sense. But it doesn't necessarily, you can teach somebody how to treat you. You can stand up for your boundaries. You can do all of that stuff.
And if I'm a problematic person, I'm still going to try and make
Or you're still going to believe things that aren't true about me, or you're, you know, and the other thing is that this is where it's kind of like your side of the street versus other people's side of the street. People project their crap on you. So, and we do that to each other. I think I've projected lots, like sometimes our own insecurities. I think somebody said that actually. Somebody said something about projecting insecurities. Christy?
Or somebody. Yeah, people Jen said that. People project their insecurities.
Yeah, exactly.
Thing is, it's a very difficult trick to learn. If somebody says, "I believe this thing about you that's false," it's like
I gotta repost my Peggy.
I don't get hurt. It's like, oh, I believe something that's false about you. It's like, okay, I'm really sorry that you're the kind of person that would rather believe that than
and Heidi, Peggy and I can definitely both relate. Actually, probably my sister in the room and Peggy can probably both relate very much. It's really hard when it's your mother or family that believes the worst of you.
Yeah. It takes a long time to just go fuck them.
Can we just say for a second, I don't care. I'm going to just be really blunt for a second. It does not matter who you are I'm going to like look right at the camera because I feel really strongly about this. It does not matter who you are blood related to, who birthed you, who raised you, who fed you, who clothed you. If they treat you like crap, they're just like anybody else out in the world that is treating you like crap. You do not owe people anything because of blood. And that's my opinion.
Well,
that's my opinion. But I think we're socialized to feel like genes mean that we owe people something.
Well, the reality is that the only thing that is required to make a baby is having sex.
Thank you.
Period.
Thank you.
The only thing, just because you made a baby does not mean that you are suddenly this. It doesn't mean that anything about your thoughts, opinions, or the most problematic people in the world can make a baby.
And there's two sides to this.
And it's really unfortunate. You want to love your family, but unlovable people, which is really a harsh way to put it. Yeah, that's not really difficult people. People
that don't treat you the way that you deserve.
Yeah, abusive people can still. Anybody can make a baby.
The thing is, you guys, at the end of the day, it's okay. We all can talk about how some people shouldn't own pets, or some people this, or some people that, but we don't often say.
Never mind.
Yeah, I've got so many moderators. Thank you all, by the way, because I don't have to do anything. It's awesome. Yeah. But the thing is that we are socialized to think that somehow,
and the act of parenting, the act of becoming a parent,
makes you a better person. I'm sorry, but it doesn't. And you don't. It works the same in reverse. So to all of you moms in the room, you'll understand. But like,
absolutely,
we don't get to take our kids for granted either. You know, just because we parented them doesn't mean that they owe us their love, their trust, their devotion. We hope for that, and we hope to raise them in a way or be a part of their lives in a way where they can respect us and trust us and all that stuff. But just like anybody else out on the street, it's earned. It's not something you're just granted.
Animals make babies.
Yeah.
Like, there's some animals that literally eat their young. Like,
or kick them out of the nest. Like, boom, you gotta go. Bye.
It's like there is no magical thing that happens.
Sister, I know.
Yeah, but anyway. No, I think.
Anyways, I feel really strongly about that topic.
But if somebody's like, "Oh, you're this or you're that," it's like, and now here's the thing: if somebody says, "I'm sorry, puppy," if somebody says, "Oh, you're a little impatient," and you're a little impatient, they're telling the truth. If that same person turns around and says, "Oh, well, you're a little this and you're a little that," it's like, and that's a hard one too. It's like sometimes they decide figuring out who's really trying to give you helpful advice and who's just being unnecessarily cruelly critical.
Chest bumping,
yes.
Let's talk about briefly.
But anybody who has the opportunity to get to know you still chooses to believe things that are false about you. That's their issue. It really is.
And also their loss.
If I get to know somebody and decide I don't like that person, I'll quietly walk away. We all do. We all have people in our lives that we've met, didn't mesh with, and moved on.
Yeah, you're not going to resonate with everybody.
But I'm not gonna run around if I don't know. It's hard to describe, but yeah, it's like.
And again, as Dustin says,
I don't let myself get hurt. I've kind of grown I've kind of thickened my skin a little bit to not get hurt by that because I can't help what other people choose to believe about me.
This is why I'm going to say over and over again, you can only be responsible for your side of the street. You know your ethical boundaries. You know your behavior. You know your intentions. If other people can't get that, that's on them. That's not your responsibility. If you don't owe them an explanation, you don't owe them an excuse, nothing. That's completely on them. Ideally, if it's somebody that you're really invested in, you'll hash it out and try to clear up misunderstandings, but that doesn't mean you owe that to them. It means that, I can't say this enough because I think and I might sound overly harsh about this whole you don't owe anybody anything kind of stuff, but I can't say it enough because we get too many messages about what we owe people, what our obligations are, how we should be behaving. And we don't even get those messages always directly. It's indirectly through advertising and the way TV shows and movies show families and blah, blah, blah.
Oh, yeah. Like, I mean, I totally blame the media for so much about our warped perception of reality because God forbid, now that the TV has told us this is what a perfect family looks like, admitting that our family is not that family is like taboo.
It's very taboo. And so I'm just going to tell you all over and over again, you don't owe anybody anything. Just over and over again. And you can decide where that's true and where that's not true. But you don't owe anybody anything except you owe yourself your protection, your love, your attention. You owe those things to you. Period. You're the only person you owe that stuff to.
And you cannot run around constantly like, and I don't know how like, I'm kind of thinking back to Simon's example, and I'm not trying to pick on you, Simon, but the unfortunate...
You're picking on Simon.
No, I'm not.
Everybody will beat you up if you pick on.
If you keep interrupting me, they're gonna.
I like.
No, Simon. Okay, Simon is on YouTube, and you have thousands of followers, so you can't take it upon yourself to be upset that any one of like when it comes to people on social media who have a negative opinion of you. You can't take it upon yourself to be upset that has happened.
I mean, you can do whatever you want, but
yeah, you can.
Don't tell anybody what they have to do.
I totally understand.
I do it though.
I totally understand why it would be hurtful. I mean, I've watched Simon's videos. You never ever say you don't say the word fuck on your videos the way we do on ours.
The way you do, I don't say the F word.
You have
a couple times.
Yeah,
maybe.
So it's an unfortunate. Well, exactly, and here's the thing. Like I said, I really am not trying to pick on you. So if I say anything that sounds aggressive,
to have feelings.
If I say anything that sounds aggressive or judgmental, it's entirely by accident, and it's really unfortunate. Yeah.
I've dropped it once or twice. Oh, good. I need to find that.
I mean, I don't know if you saw my big long disclaimer on the last video. Sooner or later, I'm going to say something offensive, and people are going to go, "Oh my God!" Because sooner or later, you have no choice. You have no choice. Sooner or later, you're going to say something or something that's going to happen around you or near you or that peripherally involves you that people are going to have a strong opinion on. And it's a very difficult trick to learn to go, I can't be responsible for your negative opinion of me.
Here's the short way to say it. Sometimes people are not going to understand who you are and they're going to judge you for whatever purpose. They're going to think things about you that aren't true. Those are not your people.
Exactly.
Period.
Exactly.
Stop.
And here's the thing, because and like I said, the reason why I'm mentioning
that's also very true, Christy. Yeah.
The reason why I'm mentioning you specifically, Simon, is because of your social media presence. So obviously, by default, you're going to have
just from a mathematical perspective, you're going to get more hate.
Mathematically, you're going to get more of that, and there's nothing that you can do about it.
I'm just waiting for it to start hitting.
Yeah. Well, exactly. So the thing
I've never seen somebody that has a large following.
I mean, I don't know what to suggest from your personal perspective that may or may not help make that more comfortable for you on a personal level, because that's kind of not my observation right now.
Yeah, Elle's got about 1,000 big sisters and big brothers in his chat.
Exactly.
I know.
But the thing is that we all
beat people up who pick on guys.
The more we put ourselves out there, the more this is going to happen. And the reality is that
he does. Yes, he does, Jen.
But but the more you put yourself out there, the more it's going to happen. And it's an unfortunate reality of the world. And it's just a matter of journaling, meditating, and just trying to just spend a minute going, I can't control the thoughts of I can't control the opinions of this many people.
Yeah. I wanted to talk about briefly, you guys,
but it's also, it's also very, very empowering. I don't know if empowering is the right word, just to be honest about that it bothers you. People don't admit that. Like, I don't care what people think. Blah, 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 blah. Of course,
everybody cares. Even when they don't say they don't care, they care. I like to believe that I have a better toolbox for coping with it, but of course I care. Yeah. I do want to there's a few more points I want to hit before our chat is done. And I know we've been on for a bit. So one thing I wanted to mention was this idea about being uncomfortable with other people's discomfort.
Exactly, Simon. Yeah. And it's a difficult one.
Yeah, it is for sure. What are you doing, Bruno? Oh, he's trying to climb. Our dog is being awkward.
He doesn't like it because I have my water bottle.
So let's talk about being uncomfortable with other people's discomfort, because this is something that can make it really hard to stand up for yourself. If you struggle with whenever anybody else seems annoyed, uncomfortable, unhappy, irritated. Totally, this is me like 1,000%. Sometimes it's difficult to speak up because it's so uncomfortable when other people have an uncomfortable emotion, because you feel like it's always your job to prevent or fix that in somebody else. So why would you say something like saying, hey, that hurt my feelings? Because you know it's going to make that other person uncomfortable, which will then make you uncomfortable. And it is this horrible, vicious cycle that we avoid making anybody else uncomfortable so that we don't have to be uncomfortable. Do you know what I'm saying? Please somebody tell me I'm making sense. Somebody. Hey.
I'm thinking about it.
Okay, like when you get annoyed, like you have a moment of annoyance, it's not necessarily personal, but
it's not personal.
I have a hard time speaking up because I don't want her to have that moment, even though that moment is normal.
Yeah, it's very difficult. It's very difficult not to take things personally and deeply.
Well, it's not about taking it personally. I just burped again. No, it's not about taking it personally. I guess what I'm trying to say is like speaking up for yourself or standing up for yourself. The other person is going to have a natural reaction to that, whether it's just a moment of, oh, okay, or whatever. And in trying to prevent that moment of exasperation or discomfort, because that makes you uncomfortable because you're used to trying to make other people feel good only.
A lot of us try to stay ahead of that curve so that people don't have a reason to get uncomfortable.
Because that makes us uncomfortable.
Because other people, it's very
like if I get annoyed,
it's very difficult to sit with somebody else's discomfort.
Yes, thank you. I was like, what am I trying to say?
Here's the thing. I've had my whole life to experience it. So
bye, Becky Beetle.
I've had my whole life to experience and deal with it, and whatever. And like I said, I like to think that I have a slightly better toolkit for dealing with it, but it doesn't mean it doesn't. It doesn't mean that it doesn't bother me. If people, oh yeah, Peggy's a this, it's like I don't like it. Of course I don't like it, and yes, it bothers me, but I have better tools for handling it, I think. I'd like to think.
You're pretty good at it, yeah, I would say.
But it's very difficult. It's a very difficult shift of thinking. It's a very difficult way to because nothing changes about you feel badly that other people think badly of you. There's nothing. It's a very difficult shift to add in the top layer of I can't always control that. It's not my fault.
Mm-hmm.
Because if I do something,
sorry, I'm just getting things.
Go on to some YouTube, whatever. Watch. You can go on. You can go on to a lot of the bigger YouTube channels that show stupid shit, and you'll find people agreeing, people disagreeing, people thinking it's funny, people thinking it's offensive. When you get it, the bigger your audience, the more likely you are to see people that are offended at the most innocent of things, and you're going like, "What? I don't understand," because there are people out there that are just not going to mesh and be offended no matter what.
That's true. That's true.
It's a very difficult. It's not about removing your personal thoughts and feelings from the equation. It's about adding the layer over top, that protective layer that says, I can't always control this. As a matter of fact, I can very rarely control.
And also, it's not your job to control.
It's not my it's not my job to control this. There's very little because you can express yourself badly by accident in a way that I can express a thought that 99% of the people out there think is like, wow, that's a really good thought. And 1% are going, you're a fucking idiot. I can't control that. I can't mitigate that.
That's true.
And the more people that are exposed to that particular thought, idea, or opinion, the more likely, because if it's pure math. If 1,000 people, if it's 1% that doesn't like it, then there's going to be 10 people that think I'm an idiot. Now 11.
Stop with the math. I don't like math.
It's math. It's math.
I hate math.
I'm making emotions about math. Isn't that funny? But the thing is, we don't have to stop being who we are, how we think, how we feel. We don't have to stop any of that, but we can find ways to mute it and make it more understandable to ourselves, even make it more.
LU Mounts unsubscribing. Stop mathing on my channel. We don't like that.
Sorry.
Actually, I have a really good piece of advice. So it's
an addictive behavior, being aggressively offended, and we live in a world that is steeped in it right now.
Honey,
I love you.
Hi, I'm going to give you guys some quick fire advice.
Oh, are we almost out of time?
We're getting there. Yeah, we're at about 90 minutes, I'd say. So real quick, you guys, I wanted to give you one really good shortcut way to figure out where you need better boundaries. And that is to just start noticing. I think I might have mentioned this in the video, but start noticing when you feel and with who you feel empowered, and when and with who you feel disempowered. When do you feel at your sort of weakest, least confident? And when do you feel strongest, better about yourself? notice the people you're with when you feel that way, and you'll start to notice where things are needing to be looked at from a boundaries perspective. The people that make you feel empowered and confident and strong are probably the people that nurture you having boundaries, that appreciate you when you're confident.
Yeah, we are totally in that culture
that
now.
Constantly give you that that constantly give you that feedback that your personal power is sexy and awesome. Those are the people who are probably doing a really good job of respecting your boundaries. The people that make you feel meek, like you're walking on eggshells, like you can't speak up for yourself, those are the people that aren't doing a great job of respecting your boundaries, that aren't nurturing that side of you. And so you can start to, without even having to clearly define what your boundaries are or how to hold them, you can at least start to notice the environments where your boundaries are, where building healthy boundaries is nurtured and where it's not.
Yeah, new age newbie. I kind of feel that way sometimes, most of the time.
Yeah, I know.
It's like, yeah, society's getting weird.
In my personal experience, and I'll let Peggy speak to herself, but in my personal experience, I feel like the more I stand up for myself and the more that I feel my worth, the less people are in my life. And that's because I'm very discerning now about who I personally only want to spend time with people that make me feel empowered and that seem to appreciate.
Well, we know a lot of people.
Yeah.
But we don't often.
Yes, Molly. Who do you feel you can say anything to, and who do you feel you have to censor yourself in order to manage the actions? That is it exactly.
That is it. And again, this is not if you are a person who
already. Christy, that would be you all. I feel the same about this community. I'm sorry.
Yeah. No, the thing is that learning boundaries and learning this and learning that is not some massive, sudden, dramatic action. It starts with awareness. It starts with practicing in those small ways. It starts with a whole lot of things, and that's kind of part of the bigger part. The problem is that all of this, we all want to rip the Band-Aid off. That's an expression that exists for a reason. Rip the Band-Aid off, and that's not possible.
No, and guys, I'm not going to recommend to anybody that you do what I did, which was like crash course in standing up for yourself, because
you had to. You were in such a toxic state.
Yeah. And if you're in that situation and that's what you've got to do that for sure. I'm not going to discourage you, but I will say that one of the things I experienced if you never stand up for yourself and you're just now starting to, there's a real good chance, speaking from my me place, that you're going to be a little bit overcompensating at first, which means that when you're first learning to stand up for yourself, sometimes you do it a little over aggressively. Like sometimes in the beginning you're like, no, and like you go from one extreme to the other.
You go from calm to rage.
Yeah, because it's almost
do you want to go to McDonald's for lunch? No, I want Burger King. It's bad.
I don't think I ever did that.
You have.
Oh my god.
I was like, I'm really in the mood for whatever. Something crap-tastico for lunch. We were on the go. So what kind of crap food do we want for lunch? I'm going, well, I'm really in the mood for a Big Mac. I'll say McDonald's. I can't remember the exact situation. And I was really in the mood. It's like, hey, you want to go for lunch? I'm really in the mood for McDonald's. We can get McDonald's, and blah, 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 blah. And she was just kind of sitting there, let me talk. It's like, okay, so I think there's a McDonald's coming up. I think whatever. And she's just like, out of the blue, she's like, I don't want McDonald's. Why do you think I want McDonald's? And she just started like this. Just started nattering at me. It's like, I don't want McDonald's. I don't know why you think I want McDonald's. And next thing you know, we're in a full-blown fight. Because it's like, why are you inside? Because she didn't, this was early on.
Yeah, early on. But I was still learning how to speak up.
Yeah, like myself. A kid who just learned to say no.
Yes,
and that's
Ashley,
exactly what it was.
What it's like.
Every single time if she thought that I wanted something, every time she was like, if she thought I wanted something, then
I still do this occasionally.
Then it's like, I really don't want that. I so badly do not want that. She would literally.
I'm almost mad at her for wanting something different.
Here's all the reasons why I don't want this, and here's all the reasons why I think it's a bad idea that you suggested it. And I'm like, dude, what do you want?
But
why couldn't you have just said you wanted Burger King?
Hold on.
It's like, do you want to go to Burger King? We can go to Burger King. It's fine.
She's like, oh God, please make this shouting stop. But no, like in a less amusing.
That was like years ago.
In a less amusing example, you guys, when I was learning how to argue, when I was learning how to actually state what I needed and what I wanted, I feel like I was either totally fine with letting things happen to me, or I was
you had to stand up yourself, and
I would be shaking. I was like so adrenaline-y. Just the idea of standing up for myself, so much adrenaline that I would.
And it would be over the silliest thing sometimes, just because you were just so in. because
I would have to build up so much courage to say anything at all.
That building up the courage
got me over upset about it.
Yeah, building up the courage. But in order to build up the courage, she had to steep in it, and by the time you steep in it, you're seething in it.
Jen, yes. She says, I agonize over all the words that need to follow no, so much so it ends up turning back into yes. Yeah. I am practicing using so many less words after no. Like, in fact,
and it's only been 13 years and she's starting.
It's 12 and a half.
12 and a half. No, that little example, like,
hello, Claire. We're just wrapping up.
We used to have the most, and also, and this is a funny. This is a funny thing though, is that what you'll discover is that as you start to build boundaries, you will find yourself overreacting to simple things.
Yes, this is what I'm saying. It's kind of like a pendulum swing. You say goodbye and I say hello.
Sorry, Claire, we're just on our way. We're just wrapping up.
Yeah, we're gonna have to grab some lunch and take the doggos.
Can I show and tell for a quick second, guys?
Yes, Peggy is so excited. You have no idea. She has been like mad scientist, but the sewing version of that. It's kind of crazy. It's a little alarming. I'm starting to be concerned about her mental health.
Where is it? Oh my God, where is it?
She's a little excited. I don't know which one are you wanting to show, because there's been like a bazillion new things lately. Oh, did you guys see my Dark Mansion bag? If you haven't seen it, if somebody puts up the link to the SparxCreations page on Facebook, Peggy posted a picture. She did a Dark Mansion custom for somebody, so she did a second one for me too. So we have one to show.
And I've got the pattern. I'm not going to put it on my Etsy.
She can't really put it on Etsy for reasons, but if anybody wants one, just message me on Facebook and we will hook you up.
Okay,
the background fabric might change, but because I don't know how much more of this dark brown do you have?
I've got one more piece of that, and then one more piece of a slightly different one.
Yeah, but that is the Dark Mansion bag. Okay, carry on. So message me if you want.
That one.
Look at all the moon phases around that.
Moon phases.
Ah! Okay, I'm looking in the camera so I can watch.
There's a story. Basically, these are all.
Peggy got her hands on some embroidery designs, so she's been going a little ham.
I've been doing.
Did you guys see the Buddha? Did you guys see the Buddha that she just
held it up for a second?
Oh my God! Look at the gold. Yeah, Claire, just message me on Facebook if you guys are interested, and we'll hook you up.
Okay, wait a second.
Keep in mind the embroidered stuff is just a wee bit more because materials and time.
Basically, what happened was.
Wait, which one did you just show?
Lion.
Oh, the lion. The lion is so stunning. Is anybody a Leo in here?
Basically, the short version of this is. Excited. I found.
You gotta hook me up. Oh, L, not like that.
I found somebody.
Look at the Ganesh. I can't wait till
I'm trying to talk.
I'm sorry.
She's so excited about this shit.
I want one of those for my Whispering Ganesh.
I stumbled across somebody who was already selling designs that I was trying to design on my own. So I pulled the trigger, and rather than killing myself trying to design all this stuff, this is the same one but in purple.
Jen says she needs Libra scales. Oh, you need to. I keep telling her to get.
I don't have any zodiac.
I will make her pull the trigger on that because we did find a seller that has all of the zodiac embroidery.
Now I understand that there's a few people who might really want that.
Look at the Wolfie.
Anyway, I am super excited because.
I'm sure you're not the only one, Heidi. I'm sure there's lots of people that don't resonate with that story.
With what story?
Buddhas.
No, not everybody resonates with Buddha.
Tell your thing about all the things.
I'm trying to, but you keep talking. Anyway, I'm super excited.
Only your shoulders in camera. Just so you know.
Like the Dark Mansion one I designed myself.
I haven't even put strings on mine yet.
Basically, doing a design.
It would be good for darkness of light. Sorry. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Doing a design. Doing a design takes time.
Look at the poop.
She is like hyper as a toddler. Creating the design takes time. Yeah. And I literally stumbled across this person because I was in the middle of doing a design. And then I forget.
She already has an owl, I think, Satya.
Have you made the I have 2 or 3 owl designs now.
By the way, you guys know the ones she just showed you are already on the right size template for bags. So those are going to be
these are going to be going up as bags. I've also got a few reading cloths with the circle with the moon in it. I've got a reading cloth
with all the moon faces.
Yeah.
That's the
Anyway.
Look at the poop.
Look at the poop. Look at the poop.
If nobody knows what I'm talking about, there's a poop emoji on top of the camera to help teach us to look at the camera.
I keep looking out the window.
I mean, like a poop squishy, like a poop
I keep looking out the window because we have little birds that flutter by and they attract my attention, and I'm like, oh, this is really cool.
She doesn't have up in the shop yet, Satya, the owls, but she does have the designs. So
they're going into the shop.
She's got
like
over 200 something designs.
I found a really good sale at I picked up a couple, tried them, and this person has superior stuff. And it's almost all designs that I wanted to make in one degree or another anyway. So it's like, I'm because it takes to manually create a design on your own takes hours.
Like this takes a long
time. That took about 6 hours to create it.
Yeah.
So that's why I haven't, and I found somebody. Yeah. So look for more embroidery.
And if you guys have specific designs that you want her to do for you, either message me or message the SparxCreations Facebook page. And we can work something out.
If you guys are looking for,
and we can create a bit of a list and keep those going. Like to some degree, we're somewhat limited on fabric choices because you do small batches of great fabric.
Well, I mean, obviously, custom work is fun, so that's fine.
Bye, Molly.
Bye, Molly. Custom work is fun, so that's fine. Getting all these different designs, we're going to be seeing some of that up there. I don't know.
I'll post the link.
I don't know what this means for. I don't know what this means for more embroidery. I'm still going to be doing the regular bags. I'm not going to switch over to only embroidered bags.
I'm going to grab you guys the link for the Facebook page.
I'm
and for the Etsy shop, but
I'm ecstatically happy with how this stuff's all printing out. So I'm just like really, really happy about it. I got a dragon for myself, but it was a really badly done one because I got it from a different spot, so I can't use that for sure. Can't sell that one. But I did it for me anyway. Anyway, I'm babbling, and I think I'm done.
You don't have to be done.
I'm done. I'm done babbling about my stuff.
Oh,
I'm done babbling about my stuff.
I'm better at babbling about your stuff than you are.
It's okay. It's okay. I had fun with my show and tell. This is going to be on the shop in the next few days, hopefully.
Oh, that's what it is. I'm going to put the link for the link for the shop.
And we're still waiting for Lisa's. We're still waiting for Lisa's YouTube to hit 1,000. So we're
so close, though, you guys. I think we're
like 1,000. We have some fun stuff planned.
I think we're only like 20 subs away or so now. When we hit 1,000, we're going to do our big 1,000 subscriber giveaway, which we're still finalizing. Okay. Sparks Sews. That's so cute. Is that your? I didn't realize that was that's your Facebook page address. I didn't realize you had that. That's so cute. So that's her on Facebook.
That was the original name.
Oh, Jen posted the Etsy. That's perfect. And then this is the link for the Facebook page. So if you can always message that
just
account.
A minute. I'll show you what I've got, but I can't sell it.
19 away. Woo! So close. It's so exciting. That's like the milestone I've been most excited for. It's already what? What are you looking for?
The dragon, but it's already been started.
Oh, yeah.
It's already been started. So
there's way better designs, though, to be honest.
I found a dragon design. I found a dragon design. It looks awesome, but
it needs to be cleaned up, though.
There's some problems in it. I'm going to clean it up, and if I can't clean it up, I'll have to do another one.
Yes.
A different one.
So if you message that Sparks Sews Facebook page, that's a great place to ask for something specific that you've either seen that you want us to hold for you or anything like that. Then
don't forget to upload this video.
Yeah, upload the video.
So thanks for the show. Thanks for letting me co-op the channel for show and tell.
She's so legit excited though because there's been so many.
I also have some ducks. Ducks.
Oh, you should make an duck bag.
I don't know. I don't know what I think of the design yet. I have to test it.
Okay, but do you have a font that you can put a fun?
I have to test it.
Oh, fine.
I still there is still these designs are amazing. But there's still things I have to do to tweak them before I can make them. So that's true. Fine. I still actually have to be creative with them. It's not just
we've officially entered the sales portion of our chat.
Oh my God! Yeah. I'm sorry. This embroidery has got me so excited.
She is really excited, and this is what Peggy just loves getting creative in this way. So it's pretty.
Yeah.
Do a mock up and show us. That's what Claire says about the A up.
Yeah, that's probably what I probably have one in the next few days.
So I am.
Oh, we still have Simon's address.
Yeah, we do. We're gonna stalk the Simon.
Send him a box of shit. Here you go, Simon.
Don't send him an actual box of shit. That's so rude.
No, things.
Okay, I gotta go because I'm getting ridiculous again.
Yes, we're getting silly, and
as soon as we get ridiculous, it's time to go.
I gotta go put this away because I keep having to.
If my Witch's Moon ever comes up, I might do another live unboxing of that when it comes in because that was really fun last time. Except for the crying and toilet paper, but that was pretty good.
Boundaries. Yeah, boundaries.
Are we trying to bring it back to boundaries? No, we're just
apparently because I just said, "Oh, you have boundaries on your channel. Let me just show you my things."
No, it's fine. We're just gonna wrap it up. We don't need to drag it back. You guys know we covered all the things.
I think this was a good one.
Elle hadn't subbed to my sister yet. Everybody go sub to Jen's Balanced Tarot.
Everybody yell at Elle. Oh my God!
How dare. She's made her second video. It's so good. She shows you all her decks. And
Christy hasn't made her second video yet.
Christy, get on it, man.
Okay, so everybody let Christy.
Yep.
You said last week, you said, I might do one tomorrow.
Yeah, you did say that.
Yeah.
Jen's army just reared up. Christy, get on it, man. You are welcome, Satya. Everybody have a wonderful rest of your Saturday.
Thanks for showing up. Thanks for chatting with us. Don't forget to upload on your way out the door.
Hopefully
I've only said that 35 times.
And hopefully I will see you guys as well on Dustin's live tomorrow morning, Modern Metaphysics Man. So make sure that you go to that too. I'm not like on it, but like I'm in the chat. Like,
in the chat. Okay.
I enjoy going to Dustin's live. Basically, my weekend is Simon's live.
I didn't think Dustin did interviews.
My weekend is Simon's live, my live, and then Dustin's live. So make sure y'all hit those up. Those are the high points of my weekend. Therefore, I know you guys will all love them. And apparently, we need a Christy live soon too. So you know what I'm saying. All right, you guys have a good rest of your weekend, and we will see you all again.
Have a great weekend, guys.
Very, very soon. Bye.
Bye. Love you all. Hi, Bruno. Hi.
All the dogs start